So for the first time, the offense was challenged a lot more than what they've normally been challenged. So a lot of our first team players were not in that first scrimmage, or if they were, they only played a couple of snaps. So this was an opportunity for almost a full go. At that point, we were a little under 2 weeks and a half away from our first opening game against UAB, which is no gimme by any means necessary. I mean, a team losing to FIU and La Tech should never view a team as a gimme. I don't care if we play FIU again. Okay, let's get that understood, number one. But moving forward, I mean, De'Aaron King was a QB who jumped out the first scrimmage. And even then, it was a step back. And by the terms of Coach Manny Diaz, it was average, but it was anything but that for the players who had to go against him. I mean, even first team inside linebacker Zach McLeod talked about how dynamic De'Aaron King is, even when his passing was a little off that day, only having 95 yards passing, but he still had 2 touchdowns. And the good part, Mark, you don't know who was going against whom, but it's perceived to be a lot more first team versus first team, second team versus second team, because you had guys like Xavier Restrepo and Keyshawn Smith start to make plays. Those freshmen who were a part of this class of 2020, who have been turning heads, who have come in and been great route runners and leading the freshmen, and even moving up from freshman squad to third team and now second team, and even some getting first team reps. So therefore, they're putting in the work, they're putting in the effort, and are pushing the young men who have been on our roster previously. And that's what you want from these freshmen. I talk a lot about when freshmen come in, you want them to be able to spark. You want us to know why we gave you that scholarship. You want us to be able to see how you validated that 3, 4, and even sometimes 5-star rating, and how Xavier Restrepo has been playing up until this point. He's way higher than the 3-star. And how Keyshawn Smith has been making plays, it makes us super excited that we got him from way out west. He was able to get out of his letter with Washington State, come down to the U, and show that he can play, he can move, and he's put on some really, really good weight. But for people who want to do stats, let's go down the line. So De'Aaron King, 95 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. All 4 QBs at least had 1 passing touchdown. Cam Harris had 13 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns. So he's showing how dynamic he is, catching the ball out of the backfield. One of those catches was a wheel route. He shakes my boy, Bubba Bolden, and then he's getting tackled by second-year defensive tackle Harrison Hunt, but Cam puts the ball over the line and gets the touchdown. That was a nice one to get on there. Brevin Jordan makes his return. One of those guys who did not play much in the first scrimmage, comes with 4 catches. You also have Keyshawn Smith, 3 catches for 53 yards. One of them was a beautiful kind of back shoulder where he was able to turn around and catch the ball falling down from the Kosi Perry. It was a nice deep route. And Keyshawn Smith, man. First of all, shout out to Cam Underwood, because Cam was the one that put his name out there a lot on here and on Twitter. And this young man is proving him right at every chance he can get. Larry Hodges, true sophomore, redshirt freshman tight end. We were able to get a red shirt on him last year. He was starting at fullback for us last year, was able to get that red shirt, and now is making some plays as the 3rd tight end. He had 45 yards receiving. Defensively, Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips, just disruptive. Whether it's in the run game, whether it's pass rushing, whether it's just swatting down passes, whether it's one-on-ones going into the scrimmage, inside run, just disruptive presence from both players coming off of the edge. Javari Harvey, defensive end, running the third defensive right now, had 6 tackles. Corey Flagg Jr. had a fumble recovery, so he would have had the turnover chain given to him. Brian Balaam, a big safety, 6'1", 6'2", almost 200 pounds, maybe even over 200 at this point. Safety, true freshman, had 7 tackles, an interception, and a forced fumble. So yet again, Mark, when I'm talking about freshmen flashing, man, you get that opportunity, you get that orange and green on, whether it's at the Hard Rock Stadium, whether it's on Green Tree Practice Field, whether it's in the Carroll Sulphur, you got to show up. And a lot of these freshmen have been sparking. To Corey Couch with an interception in that scrimmage. And Xavier Restrepo, 5 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown. You know, Mark, it's a good question. What I look at when I look at these stats is, number one, there was an automatic understanding that there had to be 1 versus 1. Because, I mean, the whole talk of the first scrimmage was the offense, 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 offense. And some people were down on the defense. And, the defense must be bad this year. And they're, talking down on our defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, and not understanding that a lot of these scrimmages rarely ever have 1 versus 1s. Then later on that week, it comes out that your top 3 defensive tackles all played less than 10 snaps. Nestor Silvera, John Ford, and Jaleel Holly all either didn't play or played under 10 snaps. So therefore, there was a reason why the run game, because you had Jalen Knighton and Donald Chaney Jr., who went crazy, almost 20 yards rushing from just those 2 alone. And who knows if they were running first or second team. And with the University of Miami being a private institution, in the way that a lot of our coaches answer questions, they rarely ever, and even from how the press asks questions at Miami, you rarely get them to just say, Coach, what happened here and how did we get this? And then the coach turns around and says, well, this is how we got this because we went against this guy who's a third string. You'll never get that. And that's not only at the U, that's just period. You rarely have those type of question and answers just get dropped like that. But, I mean, either way, it makes you excited when you hear about the run game at Miami doing well. I mean, since Mark Walton back in 2017, we haven't had an 1,000-yard rusher. Now, Travis Homer's been very close, but we haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher in almost 4 years. Okay? And then not only that, De'Aaron King's dynamic ability. When you talk about a QB who can run and can pass, it's not necessarily you're going to get that he had this many carries for this many yards. They're basically just going to talk about what he did passing. So we were able to just decipher a little bit from the 1 minute and 30-second snippets that we do get, which is exciting sometimes, in the highlight tapes. And then you also get to see some of those numbers of where those big plays came against. You start seeing corners with number 40 on. That probably isn't the first team defense out there. You start to see some of those guys with a little bit slender body, younger bodies on the offensive line. You understand that defense wasn't going against the first team offensive line. So some of these numbers, a little hard to decipher from, but either way, it's just exciting to see some of these guys flash. It's good to see some of these people show up. There was a Mark Pope sighting for everybody who, is hard on Mark Pope. He made a really nice play deep across the middle, but his stats didn't pop up on the stat sheet. So, you never know how some of these coaches are doing things. Are they hiding some things away? Because there is this guy that's going crazy, but we don't want that to be known just yet until we go to the football field in Miami Gardens. Or in some instances, there are some people that they're just genuinely haven't hit that spark yet because they're in-game players. They're not practice or scrimmage All-Americans who history will only be in the halls of the Carroll Sofa. So there's a way that you can go about it. You can decipher between the two. But either way, you want to start to see people showing up and at least showing us something. Because, I mean, we're about, 14 days away here, Mark? Less than. And we want to start hearing from some of these guys because UAB is going to come to not upset Miami, beat Miami. And they genuinely feel like they can do it. And some people in this fan base definitely feel like they can. And I'm one of those that if we do not show up, it won't be a good game for the Canes. And all the undefeated talk is going to be out the window if we can't beat UAB. But I think Coach Manny Diaz, this staff, and the leadership that we have is going to be able to focus these young men up, man, because you got a leader like De'Aaron King who's been through some things, recently lost his father, red shirt senior. I remember the last time we had a fifth-year guy at the helm of a team, because a lot of our guys leave in 3 years, whether that's red shirt sophomore or true juniors. So I don't know the last time we've had somebody that experienced as the head coach, as the leader of our squad. And even if you talk about on the defensive side of the ball, red shirt senior inside linebacker, I don't know the last time we had something like that either. So either way, we got some guys that's going to be focused and turning heads here. And I'm excited to see what we can do.